since I first came to this convention to talk with you about why I thought my husband should be president.
When you think of world leaders, you probably think of rich, powerful men who sit on their thrones and order people around. However, these strong, wealthy men aren't just powerful in public. Their own wives are subject to it as well. Once a woman marries a politician, she can no longer live freely. From having to dress modestly to only speaking when needed, a politician's wife has to abide by a long and dreadful list of rules. How much do these oppressed wives end up being sacrificing? Join us as we get into all of the strict rules that wives of famous politicians have to follow. The Chinese president's wife and her unconventional singing career. Peng Liyuan is currently the wife of Chinese President Xi Jinping, but she's no ordinary woman. Born on November 20th, 1962, Peng Liyuan hails from Yuncheng County in Shandong Province, China. Her journey into the world of opera started super early, around 4 or 5 years old, when she began singing opera tunes, clearly influenced by her mom's illustrious career. In 1976, at just 14 years old, Peng Liyuan joined the Shandong Province Yuncheng No. 1 Middle School. She remained indulged in the arts by enrolling in the Shandong 57 School of the Arts in 1977, which later morphed into the Shandong University of Arts. Under the guidance of Wang Yinsuan, she perfected her skills in folk vocal music. She was already turning heads at this point, getting her hands on the excellent prize at the Shandong Province Song and Dance Concert in 1979. Peng's big break came in 1980, when she wowed audiences in Beijing with her performances of Baoling Tune in my hometown, Mount Yiming, scoring the excellent prize at a cultural performance. Soon after, she started touring internationally with the China National Orchestra, going to countries like Finland, Sweden, Spain, Portugal, Norway, and Iceland. The same year, Peng joined the avant-garde song and dance troupe of the political department of the Jinan military region of the Chinese People's Liberation Army as a civilian soldier, taking her music career to the next level. By 1981, she was studying at the China Conservatory of Music under the legendary singer Jin Tilin. Peng's star continued to rise in 1982 when she performed at the CMG New Year's Gala on China Central Television. Her soulful renditions of On the Fields of Hope and I Love You, The Snow in Saibei stole the show and confirmed her as a folk vocal music queen. Throughout the 80s, Peng Liyuan kept doing what she loved, joining the song and dance troupe of the General Political Bureau in 1984 and racking up accolades like winning the gold medal in the national singing group of the first national Nie Er Xinghai Vocal Works competition, organized by the Ministry of Culture. Up till this point, Peng Liyuan was the star of her own life. She could do whatever she wanted and perform wherever she wanted, and nobody was there to place restrictions on her. However, in 1987, Peng Liyuan got married to Xi Jinping, who was then the vice mayor of Xiamen. Was this going to change things for her? Well, not for a while. She kept pursuing her academic dreams and got a master's degree in acoustics from the China Conservatory of Music in May 1990, becoming China's first master's degree holder in folk vocal music. Beyond her music career, Peng Liyuan has been a force in Chinese opera and vocal music, serving as a visiting professor at the Shandong University of Arts and the China Conservatory of Music. She's also been crucial in international cultural exchanges, earning honorary doctorates from Massey University in New Zealand and the Juilliard School in New York City. Apart from music, she's also a hero in public health, serving as a WHO Goodwill Ambassador for tuberculosis and AIDS since 2011. However, in 2012, when Xi Jinping became the General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, Peng Liyuan jumped into the political and cultural scene without any hesitation, becoming a member of the 11th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. As China's First Lady, Peng Liyuan has been going around the world with President Xi Jinping, spreading her culture and building strong international relationships. She fit into the role perfectly in terms of appearance and how enthusiastic she was to be helping her husband in his political journey. While her display of talent might not be what's normally expected of politicians' wives, people love it, and her contributions have earned her major props worldwide in art, education, and public health. While the tradition in China would probably expect Peng Liyuan to stay docile and obedient to her husband, Peng Liyuan doesn't take these rules too seriously. She remains a free-spirited woman who can do what she wishes, and from the looks of it, China's president has no issues with that. The rebellious and the docile wives of the United Kingdom's politicians. Back in 1997, when Alicia Collinson's husband, Damian Green, got his seat as a Conservative Member of Parliament, Alicia was handed a quaint little pamphlet from the Parliamentary Christian Wives Fellowship, titled "Two for the Price of One." The pamphlet was chock full of tips that seemed straight out of the 50s on how to ace the role of a politician's wife. One section that really ticked off Alicia was the suggestion that the absent parent should make weekly personal calls to each child. Alicia wasn't having it, and she pointed out how the pamphlet assumed that wives could juggle it all while their husbands were off in Parliament. But it's not that simple when you're also working. Times have certainly changed for political wives. In the old days, wives of members of Parliament were expected to be nothing more than photogenic side pieces to their husbands. They'd show up at the village fete, judge some cake baking contests, and flash a pretty smile. Most of the time, they'd keep quiet about politics to avoid stirring the pot. Their job was to raise the kids, manage the household, and be a pillar of support for her overworked and occasionally grumpy husbands. Back then, if a wife dared to speak up, all hell would break loose. Just ask Margot, the wife of former Prime Minister Herbert Asquith. She threw shade at her stepson in public, blaming him for her husband's political downfall. However, in today's time, Margot's comment wouldn't raise an eyebrow. In recent months, quite a few political wives have come out of the woodwork, confessing to all sorts of wild things, including binge drinking, promiscuity, and even extramarital affairs. Take Sally Bercow, the Common Speaker's wife. In an eye-opening interview, she revealed her wild past. According to her, she would drink more than 2 bottles of wine a day and get into bed with strangers after a night at the bar. Unlike the old-school, reserved political wife, Sally doesn't think about whether her adventures might dent her husband's professional image. She's also openly at odds with her husband's politics. John Bercow was a Tory member of Parliament, while Sally was going for a spot as a Labour councillor. Then there's Iris Robinson, the wife of Northern Ireland's First Minister, who stirred up a scandal with a 19-year-old lover at age 58. The resulting media frenzy pushed her husband to temporarily step down from his post. However, some wives are perfectly content doing their own thing. Samantha Cameron, wife of the Conservative leader, is the creative director at Smithson, a posh stationery brand. Ed Miliband's partner, Justine Thornton, is a big-shot environmental lawyer. Sarah Brown, the wife of the former Prime Minister, had a successful PR career before moving into number 10. George Osborne's wife, Frances, is a best-selling biographer. And Sandra Howard, wife of former Tory leader Michael Howard, is a novelist. According to Mrs. Howard, the role has definitely shifted over the years. 3 decades ago, more wives didn't have their own careers. Cherie Blair set a strong example by continuing her work as a barrister while her husband was Prime Minister. Alicia Collinson, herself a family law barrister, faced flack from the media when Damien entered politics because she had her own career. But now, the constituency isn't bothered. There was even a member of Parliament who jokingly called his wife the hostage in the constituency. Now he's on to wife number 2. The landscape for political wives has shifted dramatically over the years. They're no longer confined to a supporting role in the shires. They're potential vote winners and influential figures in their own right. Just look at Michelle Obama. Her impact on expanding the role of a political spouse and boosting her husband's success is felt even across the pond in the UK. Today's political wives have a complex balancing act, managing careers, family life, and cultivating a public image that's engaging yet uncontroversial. If you were in their shoes, your wardrobe would be scrutinized, your past dissected, your opinions expected yet discreetly kept under wraps. When your husband is filming a YouTube video from your Notting Hill kitchen, you're there in the background, looking busy and composed to fit the role of a politician's wife. Some wives of politicians are quite rebellious, but others like Miriam Gonzalez Durantes, wife of Liberal Democrat leader Nick Clegg, take a more laid-back approach. Miriam, who heads a trade department at a global law firm, believes in being supportive without losing her identity. She's confident and understands she has a career of her own, separate from her husband's political life. However, she still exudes glamour, always sitting with impeccably styled hair, dressed in a chic gray silk shift dress and trendy ankle boots. In every way possible, she still reflects what the wife of a member of Parliament is traditionally supposed to look like. Miriam embodies a new breed of political spouse, the independent, career-driven woman who happens to be married to a politician. The Cleggs share household duties equally despite Nick's political demands. He's known for rushing home to take the kids to school before heading to Westminster. Now, some wives prefer staying in the shadows, brushing aside equal opportunity strides. For every Miriam, there's a surrendered wife like Norma Major. She stood steadfastly by her husband, never uttering a controversial word in public, even after his affair surfaced. Then there's Sandra Howard, who published her first book only after her husband stepped down as leader. She epitomizes the old-school political wife, who is supposed to be selflessly supportive, putting her partner's ambitions above her own. But being a surrendered wife isn't easy. They keep quiet, fearing they might overshadow their husband's spotlight. Sandra recalls being told that a political spouse can't win the seat, but can definitely lose it. So, the United Kingdom has seen it all. from women defying the traditions and rules of being a politician's wife, to women who rebel, despite knowing all the rules and regulations. Michelle Obama and her transformation into a supportive First Lady. The role of a First Lady in America has evolved, and while it's not officially defined by the Constitution, it's still crucial to the presidential system. Back in the day, the president's spouse was seen as the ultimate White House hostess, handling all the domestic affairs. Let's rewind to George Washington's time. Martha Washington was so respected that people affectionately called her Lady Washington, and the trend continued with Abigail Adams and Dolly Madison, also known as Lady Adams and Lady Madison. When Thomas Jefferson's wife wasn't around, Dolly Madison took over the role of White House hostess, supporting Jefferson in his presidential duties. Dolly was known for her amazing dinner parties and her knack for bringing together political enemies. She set the bar high for first ladies. Interestingly, the term lady was a bit controversial back then because it sounded too British and royal, and America was all about independence. Many first ladies weren't fans of the title, including Jackie Kennedy, who joked that it sounded like a racehorse's name. The quest for a better title led to First Lady of the White House, coined by Leslie's Illustrated newspaper to describe Harriet Lane, President James Buchanan's niece. Now, Edith Roosevelt was the first to snag a federally hired social secretary, and Lou Hoover took it up a notch with her own expanded staff. Eleanor Roosevelt actually had a personal secretary, along with social and admin secretaries. Jackie Kennedy then hired the very first press secretary. The role kept getting fancier, with later First Ladies like Rosalind Carter having a chief of staff to handle projects and initiatives. First Ladies became powerhouses, leading the charge on everything from environmentalism to women's rights. Mary Todd Lincoln was all about education and jobs for freed slaves, and Helen Taft fought to improve working conditions. More recently, Laura Bush was all about education and literacy, and Michelle Obama tackled childhood obesity like a boss. However, apart from their actions, their style was just as flawless. Frances Folsom Cleveland's wedding hairdo was all the rage, and Mamie Eisenhower's coordinated outfits were total trendsetters. Jackie Kennedy's historic White House preservation efforts and iconic fashion left a major mark. Additionally, Nancy Reagan's signature red style was unforgettable. Out of all the first ladies that America has seen, the one to stand out is Michelle Obama, whose role as the wife of former President Obama was closely observed by the people around her. In 1996, Michelle mentioned in an interview that there was a good chance her husband, Barack Obama, would enter politics, but she had reservations about the intense public scrutiny that would come with it. She valued her privacy and was cautious about the potential impact on their family. Although Michelle supported Barack from day one, she wasn't exactly pumped about the campaign. During Barack's 2000 congressional run, when asked if she enjoyed any part of the campaign, she joked that visiting different homes sparked new decorating ideas. She was open about her opposition to Obama's opinions, something that was against the rules that first ladies are expected to follow. At first, she wasn't all about Barack's political ambitions and preferred he focus on more practical things after his first go didn't pan out. Then, fast forward to 2008 when Barack decided to run for president. Michelle had legitimate concerns about how it would affect their daughters and made a deal. He had to quit smoking if he wanted her full support. She made it clear she wasn't a senior advisor. She was all about discussing race and education from a mom's perspective. Again, this was completely unexpected. A potential first lady laying down demands for the future president to follow was something a lot of people would frown upon. However, her rebellion soon turned into unconditional support. By May 2007, Michelle scaled back her work by 80% to dive into Barack's presidential campaign. At first, she was only out on the road 2 days a week, but by early 2008, she was all in, going to 33 events in just 8 days. Michelle even shared the stage with Oprah Winfrey at a bunch of campaign events, writing her own speeches and delivering them like a boss. This is the part where Michelle fit right into the role of a politician's wife. She was there for him, no matter what, and sacrificed her own career and time to make sure Obama flourished. During the campaign, Michelle faced some unfair criticism, with haters labeling her as an angry black woman. However, she kept her cool, knowing that's part of the game when you're running for the presidency. As the campaign rolled on, Michelle shifted gears, connecting more with people's concerns and appearing on shows like The View and in magazines like Ladies' Home Journal, aiming for a more relatable environment. By the 2008 Democratic National Convention, Michelle's public game had changed, focusing on empathy and understanding over confrontation. She even switched up her fashion to keep it relatable. Her convention speech was all about her family's American dream journey, emphasizing values like hard work and respect. It was clear that she wasn't facing many difficulties following all the rules laid down for politicians' wives. She was actually having fun with it, Come 2012 and the re-election campaign, Michelle was fully in the political spotlight, backing her husband's policies while sharing personal stories to connect with female voters in swing states. Sure, Michelle got her fair share of criticism, especially for focusing on trivial stuff like gardening and healthy eating. However, her supporters knew she was tackling big issues like obesity head-on. During her early days as First Lady, she was all about rolling up her sleeves, visiting homeless shelters and soup kitchens, really connecting with people in need. Plus, she had her people out there visiting schools, rallying for public service, and supporting all sorts of good causes. When it came to backing up her husband's policy game, Michelle was on it. She threw a White House party to celebrate the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, making sure everyone knew pay equity was the real deal. She was also all over the economic stimulus bill and would visit places like housing and urban development and education to show some love. Some people were hyped about her political hustle, appreciating the fact that she was constantly involved in helping her husband be the best president America had ever seen. She fit into TBE tradition mold for a politician's wife in every way. She dressed modestly, arranged parties, and advocated for causes that were for the benefit of the people. However, she never let herself outshine her husband. Still, others thought maybe she should be a bit more subtle. Michelle's influence was no joke. She got her hands on the title of Barbara Walters' Most Fascinating Person of the Year in 2009, putting her stamp on the national scene. In her memoir, Becoming, Michelle broke down her top jobs as First Lady, including Let's Move, Reach Higher, Let Girls Learn, and Joining Forces, covering everything from healthy living to education and military family support. With Let's Move, Michelle was on a mission to tackle childhood obesity head-on. Her push for healthier eating earned her some serious props and put public health in the spotlight. However, not everyone was cheering. Michelle wasn't just about America, she was global. She jumped into the campaign to rescue those Nigerian schoolgirls in 2014, using her megaphone to raise awareness worldwide. Plus, she was all about international education through Let Girls Learn, empowering young women everywhere. Interestingly, she was so dedicated to her role that there were rumors about Michelle running for office, but she shut those down as soon as she could. In many ways, Michelle fit into the role of a First Lady almost seamlessly. She did whatever she could to help her husband in his campaigns and to further his causes, even if she took an unconventional route to do it. The controversies surrounding the wives of South Korean politicians. Over in the US, the First Lady gets the royal treatment with the official office of the First Lady, set up to back her up in all her presidential partner duties. From leading initiatives to showing up at events and pushing important agendas, it's a whole job. However, once you shift gears to South Korea, it's a different story. For starters, there's no official office of the First Lady in the presidential office. When Yoon Suk-yeol was campaigning, he promised to scrap the informal setup usually in place to help out the president's better half. It was part of his whole deal to revamp the presidential office, tackling issues that came up during the campaign. Yoon's wife, Kim Keon-hee, is a professional businesswoman running an art event company back in the day. She got hit hard with media frenzy and political jabs about her personal and work life. Claims were flying around about messing with academic credentials and a copied PhD thesis, which led to Kim stepping up with a public apology. At first, Kim wanted to keep things low-key, supporting Yoon from the shadows. However, after Yoon took office, her public profile shot up, and brand new controversies emerged. An example is the time she paid respects to the late former President Roh Moo-hyun and met his widow, the ex-First Lady, wearing an outfit that had people talking. Supporters of Roh and opposition parties weren't feeling her former art company team tagging along either. So, the ruling party's big names floated the idea of reviving the office of the First Lady, or putting together an official squad to have her back, hoping to dodge future PR slip-ups. Now, all this chatter was happening against the backdrop of some serious political scandals in South Korea, with shady advisors and mystery figures pulling strings behind the scenes. In the past, there was a mess with former President Park Geun-hye's secret advisor, which led to impeachment drama due to all sorts of corruption and backroom deals. However, First Ladies throwing their weight around and being active in politics has been South Korea's thing for a while. However, that has not stopped people from criticizing what these women wear, where they go, and what they achieve with their education. That doesn't stop the South Korean women though, because they do as they please. North Korea's progressive take on the roles of politicians' wives. Since Kim Jong-un stepped up, the state media has been putting in work to show a different side of women compared to the Kim Jong-il era. Kim Jong-un's wife and sister are front and center, taking up public roles, and it's a major shift from the old ways. Undoubtedly, over the past few years, more women are climbing the ranks in Pyongyang's inner circles. It might not flip North Korea's policy playbook upside down, but it's a big deal in a country where men have always traditionally called the shots. In the Kim dynasty, women have always been painted as revolutionary icons. They've been soldiers, workers, and symbolic mothers of the nation, all wrapped up in that Kim family narrative. Take Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea. His mother is like a legend, named the Mother of Choson. Then there's Kim Jong-suk, Kim Il-sung's first wife, and Kim Jong-il's mother. She was a big name in the independence game, fighting side by side with the men and earning respect as a die-hard revolutionary. Plus, don't forget Kim Hwak-sil, also known as the woman general of the anti-Japanese guerrilla army. These ladies were all about that revolutionary spirit and dedication. Fast forward to the 60s, Kim Il-sung's second wife, Kim Song-ae, stepped onto the scene. She took over titles like the chairman of the Democratic Women's Union and worked with foreign female delegates, aiming to set up her kids as future leaders. That put a twist in Kim Jong-il's succession story. However, as Kim Jong-il tightened his grip on power in the 70s, Kim Song-ae's star faded, and by 1981, she was under house arrest. Now, Kim Jong-il was a different kind of man. He kept his wives and consorts out of the limelight, including Hong Il-chon, Song Hye-rim, Kim Yong-suk, and Ko Young-hwee. Kim Jong-il liked to keep things private, allegedly keeping his partners in secluded spots and focusing on their mom duties. Kim Jong-un, on the other hand, is flipping the script. Since taking over, he's been flaunting his wife, Ri Sol-ju, and his sister, Kim Yo-jong. Ri Sol-ju is all over state media, going to events and being present in diplomatic scenes. Kim Yo-jong is also on the rise as a key player in North Korean politics. She's getting in on diplomatic moves and going with her brother to major summits, talking with South Korea and US leaders. This shakeup in North Korean leadership shows a shift in the regime's image. Now, what's so great about this surge in elite female leadership in North Korea? The implications are huge. Unlike democracies where more women might shake up policy, in North Korea, it's about sticking to the party line. These women are strategically positioned to strengthen the existing political game, not change how things have been happening for years. For example, Choi Sun-hui is all about a tough stance on talking with the United States, and Kim Song-hye is said to be the brains behind planning sanctions relief. Hyeon Sung-wol is leading the charge on cultural diplomacy, bringing North Korean artists to South Korea and China, while Kim Yo-jong is playing the tough cookie to Kim Jong-un's moves with the US and South Korea. Historically, North Korean women have been big players in neighborhood politics and the local economy. Now they're rising in politics, diplomacy, and the economy under Kim Jong-un's watch. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.